For Vision of the Valley, I'm Tricia Perry. Today we're at the McDonough Museum of Art on the campus of Youngstown State University. It's part of a long tradition of university art museums, but the McDonough is unique and unusual in many ways. And today we're talking to Leslie Brothers, who is the director of the McDonough Museum of Art, and she's been here 13 years.
Right.
Tell us what makes this such a unique museum experience, because it's not really a museum.
Right. Well, we are a center for contemporary art. We say, our tagline is, we are a center for contemporary ideas, art, education, and community. And this is really true. It's not something that we just say.
Made up, yeah.
We serve the university in many ways. We are connected to the Department of Art, which is part of the college. And we dedicate about 40% of our programs to the faculty and the students in the Department of Art. So in order to graduate as an undergraduate art student, and that's studio or graphic design, you have to do an exhibition here. So our students, unlike many other students in programs across the country, actually get to have their senior show in a real museum, in a real center for contemporary art.
Another thing that makes it unique is its construction, which is on a hill. It kind of has two front doors.
Yes, it does. It has two entrances. It does. And it's a 20,000 square foot facility, so it's really massive. But you don't know that if you're driving down Wick Avenue. It looks actually very small, like a Kleenex box. If you go around to the back, or the other entrance, you can really get a sense for how vast this place is. And it is built into the side of a hill, so it's only once you're inside, walking down the stairs and exploring the space, do you really get how fantastic it is and how beautiful it is. It's really a very elegant and intelligently designed space for showing artwork. And we use it for lots of other things as well.
One of which is Mad About the Arts, which is an event every year that has taken place. I think most of the years of that event has been right here,
yes,
which gives a lot of people who've never been in here a chance to really enjoy it and see it and,
yes,
and really understand what it's all about, because there's always an exhibit going on at the same time, right?
Right. Well, so my favorite thing is to meet somebody and they say, I'll say, have you been to the McDonough? And they'll say, yeah, I've been to Mad About the Arts, and I think, excellent, that's a start, right? That's a start.
But you are open all the time, so, you know, with a regular schedule where people can come in during the week and...
We are. We have programming 11 months out of the year, and we're here from 11 to 4, Tuesday through Saturday, so...
Another unique thing about it was the office space, because it's sort of unusual. You walk in the front door and you can see everybody in the office who works here. They're not hidden in some back office somewhere like most museums. They're right there in front of everybody, in front of gorgeous windows. How did that idea come about?
This was intentional. We're following Walmart. No. Greeters. It was intentional in that the staff was totally hidden, and there was no place to insert an information desk between these two entrances. And we were losing people. You know, they would come in through the front doors and we'd hear them say, hello, hello, you know, or we wouldn't hear them. And they would walk back out again, because it's really difficult to tell upon entering the museum what's actually going on.
Not good when you're a museum that wants visitors, or a place that wants visitors.
And we knew that we had a lot of work to do. And when I took this job 13 years ago, the thing that was most astounding to me was how little people knew about this institution, and how misunderstood in many ways it was. So I decided that all of our graphic, all of our publications, for example, would be based on the square. And the square would always reference the building. And so we would start, with our feet firmly planted on the ground, and no lofty ideas. Let's just get people to consider the architecture. Then let's get them to consider what's going on inside. And the open office was a tie-in to that kind of thinking. Well, if they're going to know us, then we need to be out there. And this is very much contrary to, in fact, I can say that moving our offices into the public space of the museum is unprecedented in the museum world. There is no other museum, university or otherwise, in this country that has their staff offices in the public space. And it's working for us. It may not work for every staff, but I've been blessed with two amazing and willing people.
Because you all have to sort of share that.
We're in this organic environment. We work together. We're on the phones. It's chaotic. It's definitely in that way, not for everybody, but we've made it work. And we've really reaped the benefits from being out there in that space. We meet a lot more people than we would otherwise. We make connections that we never would make, even just to help people get across campus, to help them find the place they're looking. They're looking for Melnick, they're looking for Bliss. How easy is that to simply give them directions? And that's part of how we want to be connected to the community. And we've been working on that for the past 12 years.
So if somebody wanders in off the street and they say, hey, I want to check this out, and they come in and they experience the whole thing, what is one thing, or maybe if you have to say two things, you want them to take away from the visit?
That this place is part of this community. It's part of the vitality of this community. We participate in that. We accelerate that at times. We help to make that happen. We're interested in what they're interested in. So, we want to know our visitors in different ways. We are not completely focused on getting people to care about contemporary art. Yes, our students are young contemporary artists and designers, and who knows where they'll launch from here, but we are more interested in understanding what people who live in our time, in this time, our contemporaries and otherwise, what they care about, what matters to them in the world, and that ultimately will help us figure out what kind of programming is going to make sense for this university campus and also for this community.
So going back to my question, what do you want them to take away with it in a nutshell? A visit here will give them what?
We want them to know that this is a community resource. Ultimately, that may sound too vague, but it isn't actually. Instead of that we're a really cool, hip place that shows contemporary art that they may or may not find cool and hip, but actually that this is a cool and hip place that's interested in them. And we are. So we're finding ways to get to know our community in that kind of context.
Okay, we're walking here down the hallway of the McDonough Museum, where you have a whole history wall here of what actually has gone on with this place. There was a time when it wasn't here at all, right?
That's right, that's right.
It used to be what was on the spot.
There was a motel that the university was using, I believe, for different departments or areas that didn't have designated buildings. And so they would cycle people in and out of the motel while they were getting placed somewhere else.
So they finally designated it for a museum.
They tore it down, yep. The Department of Art had made it known that they wanted a gallery space. So I don't think they were asking for a separate institution, but they definitely wanted a space where they could show student work, faculty work, and other artists. And McDonough was interested in doing something for YSU, knew about this, and wanted to give them something far more substantial. And so this institution, the McDonough Museum of Art, we call it YSU Center for Contemporary Art because we don't have a permanent collection, so you would never come here and see artwork on permanent display, as there isn't a collection. But it is unusual, actually even more than that. Most universities that are this size, state universities, not private, have maybe a refurbished classroom, maybe the old library space, maybe an old gymnasium that's been turned into the university Contemporary Art Center or the student space.
So you have
it is so
your own.
rare.
Yes.
It is so rare for universities across the country to have something like this. And I think we can't say that enough, because I think people, even on this campus, who have been here since the day the doors opened in 1991, still have no idea how rare it is and what a treasure it is and what a resource it is for the campus and the community.
So this is the guy right here, right?
Yeah, Dr. McDonough. He was a collector first of European post-impressionism, but it got to the point where it was just out of reach financially, and you know, you decide that you're going to focus your collection in a place where you can still purchase work, right? If you're a committed collector. So he kind of turned more and more toward American Impressionism. And you could find these paintings, you could buy these paintings. You know, a physician in Youngstown, Ohio, could actually collect significant American post-impressionist works, at least at this time. And he amassed two now famous collections that were sold at Sotheby's. And when those collections were sold, the prices that were fetched for these paintings were higher than they had ever been. So he set the collections, the sale of the collections set new records for what people would be willing to pay for American post-impressionist works.
So then he wanted this to be his passion, his project, and he dedicated this museum.
He took the sale, he took one of the paintings, this Childe Hassam, Gloucester Harbor, and they auctioned that off, and he said what this fetches will go to YSU to build their university art gallery or art museum.
And so that happened in 1978?
Yeah.
And it's been here ever since?
So the building, first, they needed to find architects. Dr. McDonough had a few people in mind, like I.M. Pei, Philip Johnson.
Big names, big names.
He was reaching for the stars, for sure. And for whatever reason, eventually, thanks to Paul Raschuti, who was part of the local architecture firm here, Paul suggested that Dr. McDonough consider Charles Gwathmey and Robert Siegel of Gwathmey and Siegel in New York. And these guys were internationally known. At the time, I think they were not maybe as famous as I.M. Pei or Philip Johnson, but they had been doing solid modernist work all over the world for many years. And they were delighted to propose, to submit a proposal for this project. And it won. And they worked with Raschuti, Baylog, and Bellow here in town. And I remember Paul telling me that it was probably the most wonderful experience of his career, being able to work side by side with Charles Gwathmey and Robert Siegel. And that's how we got this fantastic building. And I think, you know, there's been a bit of a learning curve on this building because it's such a solid modernist structure and built on the square, fashioned on the square. But this one, I think, has been very difficult for people to reconcile. So part of, you know, opening up to the community after 23 years around the things that we've been doing has to do with also educating people on modern architecture, which is where this building falls.
Right. This time of year, there's always a faculty show, right?
Every other year, it's a biennial faculty exhibition, and yes, it's been happening in the spring pretty consistently. So every other spring, there's a faculty exhibition here.
So, and this is someone who's new faculty.
This is Claudia Berlinski. She's been on the faculty full-time for a couple years now. And yeah, it's really, it's a beautiful piece. It's printed on vinyl. You know, it's like when we think about photography, you know, we say, oh, we identify this as photography. We expect it to be, you know, on some kind of photo paper or whatever. You know, one of the things that our faculty are known for and our students benefit from is being exposed to lots of experimental approaches to production, framing, you know, all kinds of things.
This is just amazing, putting all of the way the sky, it illustrates how the sky is so different, and we take that for granted, I think. Every day it's different, every moment. True. It's really beautiful.
Changing all the time.
So that's one of many artists that has been featured, and it's not just painting or contemporary sculpture or something like that. It's all kinds of different mediums and ideas and concepts.
And I think a lot of the work that our faculty, a lot of the work that they're producing is kind of unusual, unpredictable, and that's the nature of contemporary art. It should have that kind of vitality, and our faculty definitely do. So we're always really proud of this show. It never fails to be a fantastic exhibition, something we can put out there, invite people to find out about what's really going on in the contemporary art world and in the contemporary design and interactive design world.
So this is a nice view of your biggest space. This is an installation gallery, right?
Right, right.
Meaning big things can be
Big things can happen here. And, you know, this museum was designed to accommodate contemporary artists and their contemporary ideas, whatever they may be. So, you know, there are hooks in the ceiling that allow you to hang a car, you know, like anticipating
big installations.
Big installations that might include water and dirt and, you know.
Right. And here we have another piece of art created out of photographs that are all of vacant lots, now vacant lots, in probably Youngstown, right?
In Youngstown. This is a piece that was done by Stephen Chalmers. He's a photo faculty member, and I think what Stephen's trying to get at here in gridding out these lots where houses used to be, and this is this ongoing effort to take down these, you know, abandoned houses in Youngstown. And I don't know how many we've done and how many thousand we have to go, but I think we're definitely making progress. And maybe what he wants us to do is to sort of look at them in perhaps a more optimistic way. you know, by gridding them out, by putting them all together, saying, you know, this one could be yours, perhaps, you know, or this one, or how about this one, or, you know, we see them all as a kind of consistent landscape that maybe only offers now the promise of what's next, rather than what was.
And this is another artist, I know you are sort of in love with this one because she has invented her own script, right? She's designed her own script.
Right, this is a font that Michelle Nelson designed, and for us font freaks, it's just an extraordinary thing to imagine doing. I mean, you first have to consider how many are out there, and then coming up with one that's truly original, and this is what Michelle has done. And even more, I have so much respect for her process. Michelle is a senior professor of graphic and interactive design here, and she's on sabbatical, and this is part of her sabbatical work, so she's about halfway through her year off. What I respect so much about it is that Michelle has turned to something that we anticipate you know, less in terms of process these days, in that she draws these by hand. And so each letter is drawn by hand in pencil. It's not made in a CAD program, it's not assembled in some other way.
Which she demonstrates in this video, sort of supplement
Yes.
to the actual.
Which is really well done, very informative. And here you have an example of her doing this.
So tell me what this is all about. This is the piece, but what is it all about?
Well, R.J. Thompson is a brand new member of our graphic and interactive design faculty, and we're thrilled to have him. He's a young, brilliant, energetic guy who's already connected in so many ways to our students and vitalized, really, and brought in a significant kind of vitality to the program. What he's doing here is, I think, you know, for the benefit of the community, but also really, I think, his students, our students, is to show how over time you learn about solving design problems through commissions that you get from different companies or different clients. And so this would be like what RJ's studio would look like. So in his studio, he would have, oh yeah, the sunglass, you know, poster or the brochure that he did for Performance or Bombshell,
Pittsburgh
right?
Polar Plunge.
Exactly.
He must have spent some time in Pittsburgh. There's a lot of Pittsburgh stuff here.
He does. He lives in Pittsburgh. This is his graphic design work, and the students who are going through our program will have assignments. They'll have clients like these that they'll need to do design work for, and so he's kind of sharing, you know, the sort of larger volume of his work that is fascinating to see. You know, when Heinz contacts you and says, okay, we need
a big
this,
name.
right? You know, we need this look for this series that we're doing. You know, can you? And it's how designers come up with those ideas. And just seeing what they land on when given the challenge of how do we communicate this message. And I think this is a great way to see that.
And then he has a little hands-on area over here where you
He does. So you can kind of check out his publications, look at some articles that have been written about him, and just really getting to know him a little better as a new faculty member. So it's a lovely approach.
So this is a sculptor, right?
Yeah, Missy McCormick is, again, a new member, a full-time faculty member. In our spatial arts program, she is a ceramicist, and we have a long tradition of offering ceramics as part of our sculpture program.
And what's interesting is that she has the piece kind of spill out onto the wall.
Yeah, I've actually never seen anything like it, and when I walked through the show before it opened and I came into this gallery, I was just so delighted to see that Missy had taken this a few more steps. Right. You know, rather than the traditional display on a pedestal, which is what we're used to, you know, what we expect. We examine the piece, we're not supposed to touch them, but you know, we look around. But to put them up on the wall and then to expand the surface design, you know, onto the wall, I thought was just brilliant. And it asks us to do so much more than just consider the object. You know, it really asks us to look at more of what the artist's intending us to see.
Right, right. It's beautiful, all of it. So it is catching my eye more than the pedestals, even though those are beautiful.
They're up on the wall?
Right.
Wow, okay.
I know, and then it's part of a cloud, and then... You know.
So now what are they? Are they paintings? Are they sculpture? Are they pots? Are they, you know, like... And it actually forces us to spin out of that, you know, I think ceramics often get stuck in this sort of kind of a kitsch place. Yeah. Like we think, you know, ceramics, oh yeah, you know, I've got a lot of that in my house, or, you know, it's hard for us to see it as, you know, as a sculptural art form that goes beyond just having a utilitarian function.
But then how wonderful.
She's really asking us to see that.
You come to the McDonough and you start to think that way. That's a great thing.
Yes, you too. The building, everything about it helps you, yeah, to get there. That's so true.
Another unique thing about the McDonough is that your programming is very diverse. People need to know that, right?
Yes, yes, it is. And like most university art museums or centers for contemporary art, we do the student shows and the biennial faculty show and an alumni exhibition. We also exhibit works by local, regional, national, international contemporary artists from time to time. But we also, for the past 12 years, have been very committed to doing programs, projects with the community around things that this community cares about. So for example, the 3D printing show that we had here last summer was a show that we put together. We worked with a bunch of people in the community to pull it off, and we had close to 2,000 people come through. Another one would be the Paramount Project show, or Town Hall, where we actually gave up the 8,000 square feet of gallery space to the public for their use. So every day that the museum was open and into the evenings, we had different groups in here, different board meetings, different nonprofit organizations using this space for whatever they needed to use it for. So very different kinds of programming, along with things that you might often find in a university art museum. And it's something that we care a lot about.
For more information about visiting the museum, search McDonough and check out their website. For Vision of the Valley, I'm Tricia Perry.